The dust lay on the town of Dry Creek like a tired blanket, unmoving under the weight of the noon sun. Cows shuffled in distant corrals. A windmill creaked in slow circles, and in the middle of it all stood a lanky, shy cowboy named Eli Mercer, hat in hand, shirt freshly washed, feeling like a boy in boots too big for him. He tugged at his collar, swallowed hard, and tried to remember how to breathe. The telegram from the matchmaker's agency was folded and refolded in his pocket. So worn it was almost soft as cloth. Prospective bride arriving Friday on the noon stage. Name Clara Harlow. Strong, capable woman. Agreed terms: marriage, partnership, homestead life. Eli had read those lines 100 times, wondering what kind of woman would say yes to a lonely cowboy on the edge of nowhere. He wasn't rich, not handsome in the flashy way city men were. His hair was sandy, his eyes a quiet blue, his voice more comfortable murmuring to horses than speaking to people. The ranch was his whole world. Cattle, fences, dust storms, and the silence of nights so empty they made his chest ache. After his parents died and his brothers rode off chasing gold and trouble, Eli had tried to fill that emptiness with hard work. But even the toughest leather cracks under the sun. Eventually the silence got too loud, and he did something he never imagined. He wrote to a mail-order bride agency. He'd done it clumsily, scratching out words in the dim lamplight, trying to describe himself honestly but not pathetically. Owns a small but honest ranch. Needs a wife who is not afraid of work. I am quiet but kind. I believe in God, hard work, and keeping my word. I don't drink much. I don't hit. I am lonely. He had almost crossed out that last line but left it, because it was the truest thing he'd ever written. Months later, a reply had come. A woman has chosen you. Now the stagecoach rattled into town in a cloud of dust. The horses snorting, iron rims clattering against the hard-packed street. Eli's heart pounded so loud he could barely hear the driver shout, "Dry Creek!" End of the line. The coach rolled to a stop and the door creaked open. A gloved hand emerged first, then a boot, then a skirt that just kept on going. Eli's jaw loosened. The woman who stepped down from the coach wasn't just tall. She was giant for a woman, at least a full head taller than most men in town, and standing eye to eye with Eli in his boots. She wore a simple traveling dress, but it couldn't hide the strength in her shoulders and arms, the way she moved like she'd lifted more than teacups in her life. Dark hair was braided and pinned under a modest hat, and her skin was sun-kissed, like she'd worked outdoors. Her eyes swept the town quickly, assessing, measuring, not in a haughty way, but like she was used to gauging danger and opportunity both. Then her gaze landed on Eli. "So," she said in a low, calm voice shaped by distant hills and hard winters, "you must be Eli Mercer." Eli Kelly swallowed and tipped his hat. "Yes, ma'am." "Welcome to Dry Creek." She studied him for a heartbeat. Then the edge of her mouth curved. "You're exactly how I pictured you." That surprised him. "I am." "The way you wrote," she said. Straight lines. Simple words. Quiet but honest. She held out a calloused hand that almost swallowed his. "Name's Clara. I suppose we're to be married, Mr. Mercer." The townsfolk watched from porches and windows, whispers fluttering like linen on a wash line. Some men snickered. Others frowned. A few women smiled, weary and knowing. Marriage wasn't about dainty perfection. It was about who would stand beside you when the wind turned cruel. Eli felt their eyes but couldn't look at anyone but Clara. Up close, he could see the faint scar along her jaw, the small laugh lines near her mouth, the strength in the set of her chin. She was big, yes, but not clumsy or awkward. She was big like a mountain was big, steady, immovable, solid. I'd hired the preacher for this afternoon," Eli stammered, ears burning. "If that's all right with you." Clara's eyes softened. "I crossed 3 states to come here. I didn't do it to change my mind at the door." She squeezed his hand once before letting go. "This afternoon will do just fine." They loaded her trunk into Eli's wagon, a heavy, battered thing that took both of them to lift. He was startled when her strength matched and nearly exceeded his own, muscles flexing under her sleeves as if the weight was nothing. As she climbed into the wagon beside him, Eli felt small and clumsy, too aware of his thin wrists, his quiet ways. Men were supposed to be the strong ones. But here she was, solid and unafraid, while his stomach fluttered like a trapped bird. The road to the Mercer Ranch cut across open land, the sky so big it felt like they were driving across the bottom of an upturned bowl. For a while, the only sounds were the creak of the wagon and the jingle of harness metal. Eli didn't know what to say. Fortunately, Clara did. You didn't lie, she said at last, looking out over the land. Ma'am, in your letters. She motioned toward the horizon. You said your ranch was small but honest. It is. You said the land is lonely and beautiful. It is. You said you're shy. She gave him a sidelong smile. You are. Heat crawled up his neck. I didn't see the benefit of dressing anything up. Good, Clara said. Life's hard enough without pretty lies. She paused, then added softly, I didn't lie either. He remembered her brief letter which the agency had forwarded. I am strong. I can do a man's work and a woman's both. Men fear me in my town not for my temper but for my size. I want a husband who will not be ashamed to stand beside me. I want a home, children, if the Lord allows, and someone who does not raise his hand in anger. You wrote that men fear you, Eli ventured, fingers tightening on the reins. I'm not. She chuckled low, the sound warm. You're not afraid, Eli, you're nervous. There's a difference. They reached the ranch by late afternoon. The house stood sturdy and plain, wood grayed by sun, with a small porch and a rocking chair that had been empty for too long. Corrals stretched out behind it, fence rails straight and strong. A few cattle grazed near the creek, tails flicking. The place was humble, but it was his. And now, he realized with a sharp, strange pang of hope, it could be theirs. Eli helped Clara down from the wagon, suddenly aware again of the way she towered over many women, of how her shadow almost swallowed his. She didn't seem self-conscious, though. Instead, she looked around slowly, taking in every nail and knot of wood like she was memorizing it. It needs a woman's hand, she said gently, but it's a good place. Feels honest. That word again. Honest. It felt like a blessing from her lips. By late afternoon, the preacher arrived in his rickety buggy, dust clinging to his coat. He'd married half the town and buried the other half, and he looked at the towering bride and the hesitant groom with a mixture of curiosity and quiet joy. Well now, he murmured, pushing his spectacles up his nose. The Lord surely loves variety. They stood on the porch, Clara in a simple but freshly brushed dress, Eli in his best shirt, every button done just right. The ceremony was small, just the preacher, the wind, and God as witness. But as Eli held Clara's big, warm hands, he felt something shift inside him. When he spoke his vows, his voice started shaky and then steadied, like a colt learning to run. I promise, he said, eyes locked on hers, to be kind, to provide as best I can, to listen more than I speak, and to never raise my hand against you. I may not be the bravest or the strongest man, but I'll be yours, if you'll have me. Clara's eyes glistened. Eli Mercer, she answered, voice low and sure. I promise to stand by you when the sun is bright and when the storms roll in. I promise to work beside you, not behind you. I promise to protect this home with you. I promise not to let you hide in your own silence when life hurts. You say you're not the strongest, but strength isn't only in the body, it's in keeping your word. So keep it, and I'll keep mine. When the preacher pronounced them husband and wife, Eli's hands trembled as he lifted Clara's veil and kissed her. It was awkward and sweet and so gentle it made her chest ache. This wasn't the rough, hungry claim some men took. It was a shy touch, a question asked with lips. She answered by leaning in, deepening the kiss just a fraction, letting him feel the warmth of her consent, her promise that she was really here. That night, as the sky turned purple and the first stars pricked through, lantern light glowed softly from the Mercer house. Inside, two strangers turned husband and wife moved around each other carefully, like shy dancers learning the steps. Clara unpacked her trunk with methodical motions, placing folded dresses in the small chest of drawers, setting a worn Bible on the bedside table. Eli brought in extra wood for the stove, triple-checking door latches as if the world might try to steal her away. The air between them was thick with newness, with nerves, with something electric that neither of them yet knew how to name. When Clara finally turned to him, hands stilling, she saw his shoulders tight, his gaze skittering away. Eli, she said softly, crossing the floor. She had to tilt her head down a little to look him in the eyes. You all right? He swallowed, throat bobbing. I've never... That is, I know what a husband and wife are meant to do, but... She realized suddenly this shy, lonely cowboy, who'd survived dust storms and droughts, was shaking at the idea of sharing a bed with her. Not from lust, but from fear. Fear of hurting her, disappointing her, failing at something he'd been told men were supposed to just know how to do. Her heart squeezed with tenderness. She reached out, big hands cupping his face with surprising gentleness. "We've got time," she murmured. "A lifetime, if the Lord's kind. We don't have to rush anything." He breathed out slowly, eyes fluttering closed. That night they lay side by side on the narrow bed, fully clothed, her long arm draped protectively over his chest. Outside, coyotes howled at the moon. But inside the little house, the only sound was their breathing, slowly falling into the same rhythm. Two lonely hearts, not yet lovers, but already moving toward the same beat. At this point in your video, you can gently remind viewers, if you're enjoying this Western love story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next chapter. Then continue.